We added up all of our general debit, general credit, sales credit, cash debit, cash credit, and then we also arranged our screen so we had the calculator open over on the side, so that way while you were adding, you could see the calculator up and you could go ahead and see your journal transactions. It works really well having a bigger monitor for us to be able to do that. We are now on page 2. And page 2 says, use page 2 to journalize the remaining transactions for April. Source documents are abbreviated as follows: C check, R receipt, S sales invoice, and T calculator tape. So we know that the last transaction we journalized was April 27th. How do I know that? The date right here where it says brought forward. On the bottom of page 1, we said carried forward. On the top of page 2, we say brought forward. So we have brought forward here the 27th. So that means the 27th was journalized. So that means we need to pick up with the 29th. And the 29th reads, receive cash on account from K Spa. Lillian, what 2 accounts would I be affecting with receive cash on account from K Spa? Yep, that's one of them. And what's our other one? Yes. So Lillian, do we have a special column for cash? Yes. So we know it's going to go over here, so I don't have to write accounts receivable K Spa. So Lillian, are we having more cash or less cash? And the more side of cash is going to be a debit or a credit? Debit. So we know we're going to debit cash. That's the easy one. So if we're debiting cash, what has to happen to accounts receivable K Spa? If cash is being debited? As a credit, yes. So let's go ahead and get the date in there. Source document is going to be R3, standing for receipt 3. And we're going to go ahead and do general credit for $150 and cash debit for $150. Then we have April 30th, receive cash from sales. Riley, what 2 accounts are going to be affected? Is there a special column for sales? Is there a special column for cash? So what do we put in our account title? Very good. Thank you. We're going to put the date of the 30th. And then from the drop-down menu, we have an option for a check mark, and our source document is going to be T30, T standing for calculator tape, 30 standing for the date. So there's only one column for sales. That's going to be a credit, so we're going to do 625 there. So if that's going to be a credit, that means that we were going to go ahead and debit cash for 625. So our instructions for the second part was to go through and journalize our transactions for page 2. So if we are good to go on that, we can go ahead and click on Grade Step 2. Step 3 says use page 2 to journalize the following transactions. Or source documents are abbreviated as follows. Oh wait, that is reading my same instructions instead of clicking on the next part. Sorry. Now I went back to the wrong thing. Hang on. I keep clicking on the wrong part. Now I'm on part 3. Part 3 says total improve page 2 and prove the cash. So what we can see right here is we have our journal. How many days are in April? How do you know? Remember my technique I taught you yesterday? You have your fist, which is with you. You have your other hand, which is with you. And you start on a knuckle, and you say January. If it's on a knuckle, it's 31. And then you go February is in between, March, April. April is in between your knuckles, so therefore that is going to be a month that is 30. All of them that are in between are 30 except for February. And again, you go January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Do the knuckle again. August, September, October, November, December. That's what I said. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. No, August has 31. No. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. No, it's got 30. 31. Okay, here's me. I'm like, nope, pretty sure. I know September's my birthday month and it's got 30, so. Okay, so July and August have 31. It's the 2 in the row. That's why we can go back and forth. But thank you for questioning. I appreciate that at any point. It makes me think, like, have I been doing it wrong? Because I could be. So we know April has how many days? 30. Now, in this case, we have a transaction with the date of the 30th, but you could have, our last transaction could have been the 28th. Remember that the total line on our journal is always the last day of the month. So we're going to go ahead and total it up. So on line 4 of our journal, I'm going to put the date of the 30th. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in totals, plural. I'm going to break out my handy-dandy calculator. So here's my calculator, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to add up. And you know what? I'm so good at math, I can add my general debit without a calculator. No way. Because I have 5,615 plus nothing, which gives me 5,615. Okay, so when I do my general debit, I'm going to take 3,655 plus 150. Those two added together is going to give me my general credit. So I will always go through and put the numbers in the bottom of my journal page, and then I'm going to carry them down to the bottom to prove. Oh my goodness. So I went through and I was able to get my debits and credits to equal. Thumbs up if you got your debits and credits to equal. I only got a few thumbs up. We still got people working? Okay, I'll give a couple moments for you to do work. After we get our debits and credits to equal, we are not done though. We have to do something else. So I'm going to pause while we go through and do some math. Again, anytime we get our debits and credits to equal for proving our journal, it's always a very good feeling. Now, again, I said yesterday, if you know it doesn't equal, you have to go and find and fix it, because otherwise you're going to get lots of things wrong. Right now, we've had a lot of it done for us, so it makes it a little bit easier for us to go through. But if you have that it doesn't equal, please ask me. I will come up and I will walk you through the troubleshooting steps of how to find and fix your mistake. There are lots of different rules, depending on how much you're off by, that will tell you how to find and fix it. So anytime if you tell me that your journal doesn't equal, your debits and credits don't equal, I'll come up and I'll say, how much are you off by? And if you say about $100, I said, that doesn't help me. I need to know exactly how much you're off by. The exact amount will help us to look to see where the mistake is. Okay? If the amount that you're off by is divisible by 9, okay? So let's say between your debits and credits that you're off $18. Is that divisible by 9? Yes. So oftentimes if it's divisible by 9, that means it's a transposition error. Meaning in your debit column you had 218, and in your credit column you had 281. Same numbers, but flopped. And the fact that you told me that you're off 19 tells me that the transposition error is actually in the tens. If you take your number and it's not divisible by 1, let's say that it is off by $100. 100 is not divisible by 9. Would you agree? Okay, I'm going to get a decimal point. So that means, can't be could not be a transposition error. But then I would say, all right, what is half of 100? 50. I would look for a transaction that is $50. And I would look to see if there's a transaction for $50, then I would double check, is there a debit and a credit, or do you have them both in debits or credits? Because your one count would be off by $50, because I would take the amount that you're off by and divide by 2. So the last step that we have here is proving our cash. This is the last step that we do to make sure all of our numbers are spot on. So we go through and we take our cash on hand at the beginning of the month. How much cash do we have on hand at the beginning of the month? 0. They will always give you that number, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 in that very first column. And then it says total cash received during the month. How do I find that, Caitlin? Yeah, what box? Okay, so how much cash did I receive? Yeah, and that's my cash debit, right? So I'm going to use my $6,330. And if I take math, I do math here because it says cash on hand plus total cash received. My total cash available is $6,330 because I can do that without a calculator today. Even this early in the morning, I can do that. Now it says total cash paid during the month, Jacob. Where do I get that one? Cash credit. So I'm going to take $4,385 and put it in there. Now I'm breaking out that handy dandy calculator. I'm going to take $6,330 and I'm going to subtract $4,385. Mathematically, that gives me $1,945. Then I say to myself, self, does that equal the amount on my next unused check stub? And you're like, well, I don't know. What does it say in our directions? Right here, it says our balance on our next unused check stub was $1,945. So our math equals this math, which gives us a smiley happy face because that means our accounting came out. Now, this is why we do this step. I can journalize transactions and make my debits and credits equal. Really easy. But I could also journalize a transaction and put them both in general debit and general credit. But it was supposed to go into cash. My debits and credits will equal. It won't be wrong at all. You would be able to find that mistake when your cash doesn't prove. So it's just another way to check to make sure what you've done has been done correctly. So we should be able to grade our final step. Green button. Again, these part assignments is noon to Mind Tap to me this year, so I'm getting used to that as well as teaching you at the same time. And then it goes through and tells me, woo, Mrs. Grassel, you did a good job. You got a whole bunch of green check marks. Way to go. You know what you're doing. I like it when it tells me that. You have a bunch of red X's? That means you made a boo-boo. Oh, boo-boos. So when you are done with that, you're going to go ahead and work on the on your own. I am going to walk around and I want to help you. Okay? If you're unsure, just say, Ms. Grassel, what about this? And I'll walk you through the questions and make sure you have it journalized correctly. When you are done with that, I will also have the application problem turned on for you. So do we know what we're working on today? Yeah? 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 Okay, let's rock and roll, people.